What is up, faithful? I am Drew. This is 49er Sports Talk, and I'm here today with James Stanton. We're going to talk a little bit about the Titans. We're going to talk about week one and a lot of other topics. So just wanted to kind of introduce you, tell everybody who you are and like how you became a Niners fan and everything like that.
All right, so my name is James. I've been a Niners fan since 1988. My very first game was Super Bowl 23 between the Niners and the Bengals. And Jerry Rice's domination in that game is what made me a Niners fan. Jerry Rice is like my guy.
Yeah,
And if there was any former Niners player that I could meet, Jerry Rice would be number one on the list. Joe Montana would be a
nice.
very close second, though.
Yeah. I've met Steve Young in person. He's like a really humble, nice guy. Never met Joe. Never met Jerry. Jen, actually, she's met Roger Craig. So we
Oh,
have a
okay.
friend that has a luxury suite. Sometimes, there's
Did she did
players.
she did she test his grip to make sure he didn't fumble anything?
It's funny that you said that because he's actually gripping they took a picture together and he's like gripping a ball, holding it really tight. So the picture is kind of funny. She actually sent it to me today because it came up in her memories. But anyway, it was pretty funny. So
Me,
yeah.
the only Niners players I've ever met in person were William Floyd, Julian Peterson, and this other guy, Rashad Holman. He was, like
Okay.
a second stringer, third stringer, but I
Like
met
a
him.
special teamer. I remember him. I think
Yeah,
he
yeah,
was like
yeah,
a
yeah,
safety or something. Was he a
yeah.
defensive back?
He
Yeah.
was a defensive back.
Yeah. I remember.
Yeah, because that's when
All
I
right.
used to
Well,
frequent back and forth between here and California.
yeah. Nice. So you live up in Jersey area,
In
New
New
York?
Jersey, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, in the
Nice.
metro area.
Cool. All right. Well, let's jump into these topics. These were all kind of provided. I'm not going to take credit for any of these. You kind of gave these to me, and we're going to kind of like run with these. So the very first thing that we're going to talk about is the defensive additions are meshing well. The defensive additions, meaning free agents and even the rookies, are meshing well with the other defensive players, and just sort of get your thoughts on that.
Well, my first takeaway is the starting unit for the defensive line, Malik Collins in particular. He's a younger guy, still a little bit raw, even though he's been in the league a couple of years, but he is stout at the point of attacking the run game, and I see that in the little bit of training camp film that I've watched. Like he gets after it. He holds up at the line, lets the linebackers make plays. You don't
Yeah. I
want your
noticed that.
linebackers taking blocks on.
Yeah, I noticed that too. He's got really good short area like burst, like quickness,
Yeah,
and he's got. I
kind of
think
reminds me of like a taller DJ Jones.
Yeah. He's got hands too, like kind of working on it. So I'm working on chopping and things like that, trying to get around things. There's a lot of good footage out there on that. So I think he's going to be a good addition. He also has some pass rushing, I think, ability as well. So,
Yeah,
on passing downs, it's going to be good to see the interior between him and Hargrave in Hargrave's second year. Like, that's Hargrave's specialty is pass rushing from the interior. So I think that Malik has that ability too, and you might not have to pull him off the field very much. Obviously, YGM is there too, and I think he's similar to like Cleveland Farrell. He can kind of move inside, outside, and Armstead in that sense. So
yeah. Armstead was my guy. It sucks that they had to move on from him, but he couldn't stay healthy. And that if
yeah.
you're not available, you can't help the team.
Yeah, best ability is your availability. So yeah,
That's right.
definitely. And toward the end there, he was, he was hindered with that foot thing. He always had that lingering for like the last couple of years, and just
Yeah,
couldn't get away from it. And
when you get
oh,
plantar fasciitis, that doesn't go away.
yeah, no, it's lingering. So they kind of gave him one more year than I thought they should have. So, and he made like a couple good plays. I think he sacked. Did he sack
Yeah,
Mahomes
he
in the
got
Super Bowl?
Mahomes. He
Yeah.
played his butt off in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, they might
He
have
played his
shot it
butt
up
off in the
with
Super
some
Bowl.
numbing agents and just
Maybe
let him go to town. So
he
maybe
he
gave him
was
another
he,
one
he
and a
was
half.
playing with his hair on fire in the Super Bowl for real.
Yeah. I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see how this defensive line meshes. I don't know how it's going to look. Once the bullets are flying for real, we're going to find out really quick. And I think the biggest flaw last year, especially towards the end, like in the playoffs and stuff, was very leaky against the run.
Against the run, yeah.
Detroit gouged us, at least in the first half. I think they tightened it up a little bit in the second half, but
Yeah.
linebacker play is going to have to be a big thing. And without Dre, we're going to get into that here in a minute, but I think that second level is going to have to help out the first level a little bit. But yeah, I'm interested to see. And then also Jordan Elliott, big guy from the Browns
Yeah.
coming over. So yeah, it's going to be
Yeah,
interesting to
I'm
see.
very interested to see what he's going to bring to the defensive line from a depth standpoint, because outside of the starters, the depth has me a little concerned, especially
Yeah,
when guys start going down, because guys are going to get hurt. It's inevitable.
right.
But you want to
Yeah,
make
yeah,
sure
the
that you
depth.
got
Yeah.
solid depth.
Right. Yeah. If a guy misses a few games, you want somebody solid in there that can kind of pick up the slack for a little, at least be serviceable
Yeah, at least
and
for a couple
hold it
games.
hold it down. So I think that's going to be something to watch. Definitely. They have Givens as well. Givens is
Yeah.
pretty solid depth. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know what it's going to look like. It's going to be interesting this year. It's going to be interesting because Staley is bringing his mind to it, and then Sorensen's a little bit more of an outspoken guy, a little bit more like Robert Saleh and D'Amico,
Yeah.
and he's going to be on the sidelines. And that was a big issue with Wilkes. I think the guy's just wasn't very relatable, and
Yeah, it was a little bit of a disconnect between him and the rest of the team. I don't know if it's an age thing or a mentality thing. I don't know.
yeah,
But
for
there
sure.
was definitely a disconnect there. Even though, the defense did have some lapses, very noticeable lapses, but they still were pretty solid.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I think it's going to be something to monitor, something to watch. I'm personally kind of a wait and see type of guy, but I like what I've seen so far. Actually, Bosa, spoke on it. Also, he said he really likes the new additions, especially Floyd on the other side.
Right.
But my concern with Floyd is he's a little bit, he's on the back nine of his career, so
Yeah, he's
like
a little older.
you're going to have to get a rotation. So guys like Beal are going to have to step up. YGM is going to have to step up. And I think it's going to have to be a rotation because if you want this guy at 95% by the time the playoffs get here, he's going to, or fresh, you're going to
Yeah,
have some
you
sort of
need
rotation.
right.
And Drake
And
Jackson just got,
Beal. Oh yeah, I see Drake Jackson. He's out for the season, right?
yeah. They put him on the PUP end of like he's done for 2024. He's still under contract next year. But that, what is it? The plantar something, his knee. It's like in his knee. Forget what it's called, but yeah, whatever tendon in
I
there's
don't know,
jacked
but
up. Used to be a career ender, so yeah, I don't know.
hopefully, he could bounce back.
Yeah,
You
you
know,
keep
he's
freezing
he's
up
he's
there.
all potential, but no production. Oh, I am.
Yeah,
Sorry.
yeah. Oh no, it's all good. Uh, yeah, no, it's good. It's good. You're good. Yeah, so it'll definitely be something to watch. Yeah, you want to head move on to the next topic? Or you got anything else to say about the defensive line?
Yeah. Oh, I want to bring up the defensive backfield with Isaac Iadom, or however you pronounce his last
Oh,
name.
right. Yeah, I don't. Yeah.
That dude, yeah, he's been meshing very well with Ward and Lenore. And when
Yeah.
those three are on the field, it's hard to throw the ball anywhere.
Yeah, I think he's been out the past couple days. So Renaro Green, the second rounder, has been getting all those reps, and I guess he's been looking, just as solid. So I think this is probably the deepest that this team's ever been at corner. With Luter Jr.,
That
Womack, there's
corner,
going to be
yeah.
some guys that get cut, and you're like, dang, I wish we didn't have to cut that guy. So I think that
It's probably gonna be Ambry Thomas.
oh, definitely. I don't, I think Wilkes was the guy who kind of pulled him out of the doghouse and took him under his wing and gave him a chance. And then he was still streaky. He would have a game where you're like, okay, maybe he's turning the corner. And then the next game, he just
Like
totally snapped
the
the bed.
Seahawks game in Seattle, he put his butt off in the game.
Yeah.
But I knew once he got hurt, it was a wrap. He was giving me Akella Witherspoon vibes. Like once you get hurt and then you come back, it's like you're so rusty.
Yeah. Especially with leg injuries for corners. Like that's just, oh, we lost him. So I think that was maybe an internet thing. We'll wait for a few minutes and see if he comes back. But yeah, I think that, Yidom, Renardo Green, Lenore is going to probably be in the nickel. I think they might move him back and forth. I think he's going to maybe play that. He's gonna maybe play that. Sorry, I kept talking and kept going with
Nah,
it.
nah. It's
I was
like
just
I think my Wi-Fi like tripped up for a second.
yeah. Mine was acting a little funny earlier. I don't know. It's fine
I
now,
think
but
it's because is it raining down there?
no, it's clear here today.
Yeah,
So
yeah. It's been raining here all week. So when it rains, it messes with my Wi-Fi.
ah, dang. Is it the remnants of that hurricane, or it hasn't got to you guys
Maybe.
yet?
Yeah, the hurricane definitely came through here, but it didn't really do that much damage.
Yeah. I think probably like a tropical storm or downgraded by the time it gets to you guys up
Yeah,
there.
by the time we got up here, but it still rained like crazy. Streets flooded,
Yeah.
highways flooded.
Well, it seems to be working fine now. You're crystal clear again. It
All
just
right,
glitched
awesome.
out there for a minute. So, but yeah, I was just talking about how Lenore might be that star position, like that. Staley had, I think it was Derwin James, and he used Jalen Ramsey when he was with the Rams when they had the number
Right.
one defense that year. Jalen Ramsey was the star player, and they kind of moved him around all over the field. And I think Lenore's might be that guy this year. But yeah, Yaidon, great showing so far. He did really well with the Saints. He had a really high PFF grade coming over, but he only played half a season. So we'll see. I
Yeah.
think it's going to be between him and Renardo Green. I love Renardo Green's like tenacity and his attitude. He's
Yeah.
just got that. He's
He's
got
got
that
the
Lenore
dog
dog in him.
mentality.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I can't wait to see that. Florida State University. It's not going to be Deion Sanders, so let's get that straight.
I don't think we'll ever see another Deion
no,
Sanders.
no, he doesn't have that speed or anything like that. But they do teach those guys, those Florida State DBs. I don't know what it is about them. Like Derwin James came from there too. So
Put your hands on them.
yeah. Now he does that a little too much. Like he's got to get a little less grabby, especially with how the refs throw flags on the Niners. Like don't do that in big games. If you have to play, don't get holdy and
Yeah,
grabby.
don't get grabby like who
You
was really grabby before?
use your technique.
Josh Norman when he was here.
Oh my God, he was getting that guy annoyed me so bad. Like I think he annoyed every single Niners fan on the planet. So.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to these next two topics are kind of the talk of the town, and everybody's been talking about that. So let's just get this one out of the way first. Trent Williams extension, asking for more guaranteed money, a la Christian McCaffrey during OTAs, held out, kind of did the same thing. It wasn't mandatory, I don't believe, at that time. Or maybe it was. I can't remember. But it only lasted like a couple weeks, and we're kind of at that point now where it's a couple weeks, but they have all this other stuff going on. So it's like I don't know if they're too focused on that, but they got to start thinking about it because that offensive line right now is struggling a little bit. He's the captain of the offensive line. He's arguably the best offensive lineman to ever play the game. So it's like, you can help your cap situation out and get him in the doors and just going.
That's
like,
right.
You need to do it by
He wants to be here. Like there's no doubt about it. He wants to
he's gonna retire a Niner. Like, there's no question. But I think the biggest thing is just get him in before those joint practices with the Saints next week. If they can do that, I'll feel really good about things. If it's after that, or even like the week leading up, like they did with Bosa, I'm not going to feel great about that.
Yeah, especially he's not practicing. So I know he's an older player, and older players feel like they don't need training camp, but everybody needs training camp.
Yeah, you got to get that offensive line has to be working in unison. So you can't just plug him in. He might get lost or off kilter and give up a blindside sack, and you don't want that week one. I mean, fortunately, Hassan Reddick's holding out for the Jets, and he's cost himself $1 million already. So that's good news.
Yeah, so that's one less person that we gotta worry about because he's unlikely he'll play.
Yeah, we'll get into the Jets later, but I'm not really even sure who their other pass rushers are. No clue. So, but anyway, I think it's a big deal right now. But
I think they're gonna get something done with Trent before they get something done with Ayuk. If I'm being honest,
he should too. Honestly, like he should be the priority. I think he should be.
He's more valuable.
He's arguably the best player on the team. Like offensive linemen aren't flashy, but like he gives Brock Purdy that security and knowing that he doesn't have to really worry about his blind side.
Right.
Banks and Trent over there are pretty solid. They're not giving up a ton of sacks from that side. It's more the right side where Brock can see and elude and step up into the pocket and maybe scramble if he needs to. Like that's fine. But that blind side and that left side's got to be solid. So got to get that guy in the doors.
100%.
And then the big one here, we'll talk about this one for a few minutes. I feel like I've talked about it, the past few weeks, like ad nauseum. Like I feel like if I say Brandon Ayuk one more time, I'm going to start dry heaving. Like it's just so it's too much, man. Like it's gone on for too long. The video that I posted yesterday, I talked a little bit in depth about the agent Ryan Williams, and I just feel like he hasn't handled this the way that I think he should have. And I'm by no means like a front office guy or an agent or anything like that, but they had a deal on the table for $26 million. That was a report, $26 million a year. At the time, he would have been paid, I think, top 5.
Right.
So,
Which
and
was
that was
this was
before,
back in March, right?
yeah, and that was before the market was reset. That was way before Justin Jefferson, all these other guys, all those dominoes started falling. But Ryan Williams was like, no, we're going to wait it out because I know those guys are going to get paid and we're going to get more money. And now here we are. He could have had him in the doors for camp. Everything would have been fine. We might have had to deal with Trent, but that would have been resolved in like 5 seconds. So
right.
I kind of blame Ryan Williams. I don't think that he's doing the best service for Brandon Ayuk. And I was like, if I'm Brandon Ayuk, I'm looking for better representation, especially on that third deal. Like,
100%.
he'll get the second deal, whether it's from us or the Steelers or whoever. He'll get it eventually. Maybe not this year even, but he'll get it next year. So, in my opinion, I can't wrap my head around the way that this has been fumbled since after the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I feel like his agent has overinflated his worth. Like Ayuk is a solid player. He's our top receiver, but he just doesn't put up the numbers that the guys that got paid do. And it's a numbers game at the end of the day. Like in this offense, you're not gonna be the star if you're the receiver, unless you're Debo.
Yeah. Well, and if you stack up his numbers against like, Amon-Ra St. Brown, I did a comparison actually earlier today, and even the last one, DJ Moore, that his agents are Drew and Jason Rosenhaus. But all those guys, I did a stat comparison, and granted, like BA plays in an offense where you're running the ball and there's other guys to feed, but if you're just doing like an individual side by side, like every single one of those guys has better stats than Brandon Ayuk, except for the yards per catch or whatever. Brandon had like 17 something, which was off the charts.
Ridiculous.
So how are you going to replace that? Like, he's a deep threat. He runs crisp routes, probably top 5 in the NFL in terms of route running, maybe even second to Devontae Adams. I think Devontae Adams probably the best still. And that's another guy that his name's been thrown out today.
Right.
But my other co-host and I talked about this, and weeks and weeks and weeks ago, we were like, what players, we kind of went through the list of like, what players would you, if it came down to it, trade just straight up for, and we kind of just did a yes or no. And Devontae Adams I didn't even have to think. I like the second that name came out of his mouth, I was like, yes.
And he'll like, just make Purdy better if he was, if he was here.
And one of the philosophies was the Raiders are a younger team. So Brandon Ayuk's a little bit of a younger player. The next 4 years, he would be kind of like the lead vet, the wide receiver one in that offense.
Right.
He would fit there. And then Devontae Adams would give us a veteran, kind of an older guy that would fit in with all the other veterans that are trying to get a chip. And, I don't think he'd be opposed to being on a Super Bowl caliber team. And can you imagine like Brock Purdy throwing the ball to Devontae Adams, like crisp routes, choice routes, all that stuff, like choice routes all day long. Like, come on,
all
like
day.
The Chiefs would get torched with that. And then you got
especially
Debo,
now they don't have Snead anymore. It's just McDuffie can't cover 2 guys.
Yeah, Snead came to Tennessee. I think we might see him on Saturday, but crazy. Like Purdy to Devontae Adams, and then Debo, and then throwing Pearsall and Jennings in the slot. Like, come on. And then you could go 4 wide sometimes and keep a like the Bills used to do with that K gun, and throw CMC to the side because he can pick up chips, and him to one side or the other if he feels like somebody's going to blitz, a corner blitz. That McDuffie blitz last year, CMC could have slid over, and then you got those 4 guys. You could have Debo running across and doing some jet sweep flips. Like it's unstoppable.
Somebody's going to be open. You can't defend that.
And Kittle in line, Kittle's the other X factor. So
like Kyle Shanahan, if you're listening, don't hold Kittle back in the playoffs, bro.
Yeah, I mean he was balling. He balled out in that Packers game, and then I think he kind of did a couple of willing plays. Willed the team, put him on his back in the Detroit game in the second half. So yeah, you gotta feed Kittle. Maybe I'm hoping one of these other tight ends can like pan out, like and kind of be a hybrid, like maybe Braden Willis and kind of take some of the load off him so that Kittle could
Yeah,
do more receiving stuff and kind of keep his body a little bit more like safe this season.
yeah, because it's
Because
like I didn't even know that he had that core muscle injury in the
yeah,
playoffs.
and the shoulder, like the Super Bowl, like I didn't even realize until I don't know if you've seen The Receiver on Netflix, but his shoulder got like bust, like I don't know what happened, but that he
I
had to
think
run
I
into
think
the
it, I
lock.
think when he tried to die for the Christian McCaffrey fumble, I think that's when he hurt his shoulder.
Maybe, but he kept trying to power through, and then he like hurt it bad. It was either the fourth quarter or overtime, I can't remember. But he ran into the locker room. They shot him up with something. He started moving around, and then he came back in. And then it was a crucial like 2nd and 4. I actually just tortured myself by watching that Super Bowl again today. But he came back out, and then Braden Willis was actually in there, and he got flagged
He
for
got flagged.
something.
I remember.
And then they brought it back 10 yards, and then Kittle went in. But Kittle ran to the sidelines and told Kyle that he was ready. Kyle wasn't really sure. Like he's like, bro, you just went into the locker room. Are you sure? And then Braden stayed in for that play, and that play kind of cost us a little
10
bit.
yards, man.
And that 10 yards was a little bit too much to overcome. But anyway, let's not rehash that. It's painful. I lived through it today. I'm not going to live through it a second time today. But
PTSD, man.
yeah, it was bad. So yeah, anyway, like, I hope that they get this Brandon Ayuk thing figured out one way or another. I mean, like if it was me at this point in the game, like if I'm John Lynch, I'm walking straight up to Brandon Ayuk, looking him dead in the eye and saying, we're not going to trade you. You're under contract. We're going to play you on the 5th-year option. We're going to franchise tag you and then figure things out next year. We're just going to table this, get your production up this year, earn some more money, or you can hold out. They're already preparing to like play with or without him. So like they kind of hold the keys to all this. The Niners do. And got some comments in here. Sorry. Just wanted to make sure I wasn't missing anything. So yeah, usually try to answer questions and stuff at the end if anybody has any. But yeah, Brandon Ayuk, they have that 3-way thing they're talking about, like send in Brandon Ayuk to Pittsburgh, Pittsburgh sending us picks, and those picks go to like Denver to get Cortland Sutton. But again, like I mentioned to you before we started, like 1987 was the last time a 3-team trade happened with Eric Dickerson, 10 other players, Bills, Rams, Colts. So yeah, those are not common. Even player for player trades are not common in the NFL like they are in the NBA. So it's just not super likely. And they kind of already missed the window. They kind of let him shop a little bit during the draft. Nobody was throwing a first at us. As far as I know, there's rumors now coming out that the Patriots or somebody was still throwing a first. The Steelers, I think, were throwing a first at us, but they've backed off that now. And this whole deal like is being held up by the Niners because the compensation isn't right. So
yeah,
and maybe part of that is
a player.
Yeah, and if there is a third player, maybe the Broncos are actually the ones that are holding that up because they're like the compensation's not good enough for us, and now the Niners are the middlemen trying to negotiate with the Steelers to get those picks over the Broncos. Right. But I don't know, is Sean Payton really going to get rid of his best receiver?
Considering how poor the Broncos quarterback room is right now, you don't want to get rid of your best receiver because like what are they going to do?
Right. Like Bo Nix is a rookie. They're planning on starting him. You don't want to get rid of your best receiver. So to me, in my mind, like that just doesn't make sense. So like the only thing that I can really see being tangible is Davante Adams. But even if Davante Adams comes over here, they're going to have to rework his deal. So playing on, I think 17 million this year and then 26 or something like that.
Yeah, definitely have to rework him, especially
and
he's
then
older.
And then no guaranteed money on 2025 and 2026. So they have to, I mean, there's just too much to think about. That's what I'm saying. At this point, if I'm John Lynch, I'm just going to put this all to bed, put it all to rest and say, or you know what? They have a little bit of cap space this year. Just rework this 1 year and say, we'll pay you $23 million. We'll pay you the same as Debo. It's fully guaranteed as if like they were going to franchise tag him.
Right.
And just be done with it and say, well, we'll figure the rest out 2025. But for now, let's get you in camp.
Let's get you in camp. Let's get you in shape. You haven't participated in any off-season activities, and we're approaching our first preseason game, and you're holding not working out with the team. Like
Yeah.
it's not a good look.
And then no chemistry with Purdy. I mean, they have pretty good
Exactly.
chemistry, but you got to rebuild it every season. You got to get back on the same page. There's new wrinkles to the offense. You just have to get those things ironed out. You can't just come in like Bosa. It's different for a defensive end. He comes in, he rushes the passer. He's like, go get quarterback. You know, that's Bosa's job.
See ball,
And
hit ball. That's it.
right, yeah, and maybe set the edge here and there. But like, you know, that's I don't know. I really don't know what's going on with this whole thing. I'm just kind of like, it makes me sick. It makes a lot of people sick, I'm sure.
Yeah,
And
because every day, and especially when we get like those parody notifications, it's like, oh, there's a trade in the works. I'm like, is there a trade in the works, or is there an actual trade? Like, I want the
yeah,
story to be over and done with already.
yeah. And too much information is no information. And right now it's information overload. And 7,500 different people reporting 7,501 different things.
That's
So it's like, I don't know, man. Like it's a mess. It's annoying, and I don't like talking about it.
that's
So
too much.
that's a good segue. Let's move on. Somebody else on the offense has really been showing up and showing out in training camp. Doesn't mean they will in the regular season, but I think they will. So the evolution of Jordan Mason. I'll let you kind of give your thoughts on that.
Right. So with Mason, one of the biggest reasons why he doesn't get to see the field is his pass blocking is, for a guy his size is very subpar. Kind of reminds me of Adrian Peterson in that sense. You got that big body, but you can't block anyone.
Yeah.
And then
Well, that's been the knock on him, but there has been some reports that come out. He's worked a little bit on his craft. I think this year there was one play in specific that kind of stands out that the beat reporters reported where Fred Williams came in on a blitz and he just stuck him, like stalled him, and like
as you
stunned Fred,
should.
like
As you
stunned Fred.
should.
And Fred was like, "Wow, okay, I see you. All right."
That's good. That's good. I like to see the young studs like grow in this offense, but grow within themselves too. Like what your coach demands of you, so that's what you need to work on. Everybody knows that JP Mason can run the ball,
Oh,
but
he's
can he
like
do?
baby beast mode. Yeah, he's
Yeah, can he
10
do
yards
the
a
little
carry.
things? Can he pick up the blitz? Can he catch that hook route? Can he
Yeah,
do all those
exactly.
things?
Well, and you and I talked off the air that he got the jugs machine. He was working on his hands and everything like that.
Yeah.
So he does want to get better. And I think he admitted this in one of the pressers himself that he and Bobby Turner kind of got off on the wrong foot. Like he wasn't doing the little things and kind of in his mind thought he knew better. Sometimes rookies come in, they're arrogant and they think they're just going to hop
Right.
in the NFL and just go, especially probably at certain positions like the running back. But I think that, he kind of humbled himself and took a step back and said, okay, I do need to do these things. These coaches have been in the NFL for a long time for a reason. I need to start listening to him. So he's like heeding the advice. So I'm hoping we see the emergence of baby beast mode this year. Maybe
I
he
hope
can take
so.
over that running back 2 spot, and Mitchell's out right now. So it's a perfect opportunity because I think on Saturday I would be shocked if anybody else but JP Mason started, even though
Right.
it's going to be
Yeah,
second team.
I think he should definitely get the starting nod based on the improvements that he's shown in camp so far.
Yeah, and Breida just got here. Matt Breida's back. So I
Yeah,
don't
I was shocked they brought him back, honestly.
yeah, I kind of miss his little bursty runs like for 50 yards.
Yeah,
Maybe
he gave you that.
if he does make the team, maybe he's a good kickoff with the new we'll get to the kickoff here in a minute, but like maybe he would be a good candidate to do those since he has the speed, I think I was counting on somebody like Garendo to do it, and maybe Garendo
Right.
still will down the line, but he's hurt right now. He messed his hammy
Yeah.
up or calf or something.
Yeah, it's definitely some leg injury. I'm not sure on the specifics.
Yeah, I think it was a hamstring. So those can linger and take a little bit of time to heal. I think they said a few weeks. So we'll see what happens with that. But in my mind, I was like, they drafted this guy for this new kickoff rule. Like it's perfect for him. Former wide receiver, has really good hands, has that 4.3 speed, big guy, can burst through a hole. So, for me in my mind, I was like, that's perfect. But Breida kind of has some of those same features, just not as
Right.
big,
Yeah,
but he's
smaller.
fast. Yeah,
And
smaller.
I think
Maybe.
he's a little shiftier
Yeah.
than Garendo, in my opinion.
Yeah, not quite like Sproles shifty, but he has that
No,
little
no, no.
wiggle to him. But like, yeah, I can see what you're saying. Like, if a little bit of a hole opens up, he's small. He can shoot through that gap and take it to the house. And I think the last time the Niners had kickoff return was like 2011 with Ted Ginn against Seahawks. So it's a long
Nah,
time ago.
it's actually more recent than that, but
Was it?
nobody. It was
Who
in
was it?
2018, Richie James against the Seahawks.
Oh, yeah, right. Yeah. Dang, I totally forgot about that one.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it
Richie
was
James. Was it a punt or was it a kickoff?
it was a kickoff. It was a kickoff
Okay, you're right. You're right. I do remember that vaguely. Do you remember who he did it against? I can't remember.
against the Seahawks.
Oh, it was against Seahawks too? Yeah,
Yeah,
Seahawks have crappy special
yeah.
teams.
So I remember it because it's the Seahawks.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
up until that point, they were like really beating the crap out of the Niners from like 2014 up until that game.
Yeah. Wow, that's a good memory. I didn't remember that one until you said. I do like after you said it, but like I didn't.
Yeah,
I didn't remember that one.
2018 was a very forgettable season, but
Yeah,
I do remember that.
I remember the Ted Ginn one because he did it twice, and that was like
Twice.
Harbaugh's. I think that was Harbaugh's
First
debut
game.
game.
Yeah,
Yeah,
first game was
and
against the
Teddy
Seahawks.
Ginn won it for him. That was awesome.
Ah,
So yeah,
man, I miss Ted Ginn, man.
yeah. He's? I wonder what he's doing now. Well, I know Mark, like another fast guy that's been on the team, Marquise Goodwin. He's somewhere in the league right now.
The
Bears?
last time I remember, I think he was on the Bears.
I think he's still there.
He was on the Bears with our boy Pettis.
Yeah. I think he's still there. I haven't seen him in Hard Knocks yet. With the first episode, but yeah, I'm gonna move on. I'm gonna keep this thing running. Do you have anything else that you want to add about Jordan Mason?
Nah. I said everything I got to say about Mr. Mason.
So this one's going to be a fun topic because every beat writer and every content creator and their brother is freaking out. Sky's falling. Season's ending. Purdy isn't who we thought he was. What are your thoughts there?
All right, so this conversation is twofold when you talk about two different quarterbacks. We got Purdy and Garoppolo. When Garoppolo was throwing like 100 picks in camp, that legit had me worried because the same picks he's throwing in camp are the same picks he's throwing in games. Purdy is like two different quarterbacks in practice and in games. He's not going to take all those wily chances that he knows isn't going to work. He's not going to force the ball. He's going to see the underneath guy. Something that Garoppolo to this day like drives me nuts with. Like, dude, you're like a 10-year vet and you're still playing like a rookie.
Yeah, well, he doesn't see the field the same way. He doesn't process.
No, he definitely doesn't.
Steve Young said that the processor is Brock Purdy's like magic power or whatever, however you phrase it, like Jedi power.
Yeah.
I forget how I phrase it exactly, something like that. But anyway, he's got an elite processor like the Mannings of the world and the Bradys and all that kind of stuff. He sees stuff before it's happening because he studies the game. And so this came even from like Brock Purdy's own mouth the other day on the podium. I don't know how much you watch or the pressers and stuff like that, but he's like, I think it was Grant Cohn that asked him the question about the picks and everything, because I know Grant's so worried about training camp picks and stats.
Yeah, I don't know why he's so hang up on that.
But anyway, so Brock basically was like, yeah, there's certain times where I know it doesn't count. So there's certain times where I'm like trying to see if something will work. And if it doesn't work, I scrap it. So he's like,
yeah, he's just trying to see what he could get away with, basically.
Yeah. And so I think that's the difference between Jimmy G and Brock Purdy. A lot of people like to make that comparison because Jimmy G was a Super Bowl quarterback. Technically, he didn't win. He didn't win, but he did help the Niners, and he had some good games here and there when he was protected and had time. But I think also the injury kind of messed him up in KC with the non-contact injury.
He was never the same. Like I felt like in 2017 he peaked.
Yeah,
and then he just became an unconfident, immobile guy.
Right. The confidence just went away. Like he wasn't stepping into throws, which is why he was sailing passes, because he's like throwing off his back foot
all the
and
time,
airmailing it to guys and getting guys hung up and hitting the ribs. And that's why Devontae Adams and the receiver, I don't know if you watched that. Like I said,
I saw that.
I'm going to get killed because of this guy. And I think that was the biggest thing, is like he lost his confidence after that KC game and he blew out his ACL or MCL or whatever it was. And like that's the biggest difference, is just you can't measure the mental side of the game, but you can see it.
You can see it because Brady, I think it was 2008 when he blew out his knee. He comes back and he's even better than he was before.
Yeah,
Garoppolo,
he attacked it.
Garoppolo's like he doesn't have that dog mentality. Football is just a means to an end for him.
Well, it was like even like you could even go back to Alex Smith, right? Like Alex Smith was shell shocked before Harbaugh got a hold of him, but once he built that confidence up, like you could see it happening slowly but surely. And then like in the Saints game, Alex Smith is looking like a freaking Pro Bowl quarterback.
Oh man, I
And
wish
then
I was there for that game,
went to
man.
the
I wish I
Chiefs,
was there.
and then the blowout with the Redskins, and had to work himself back. He had to attack that too just to get back on the field.
Right.
Like had half his leg taken off, but still had the mentality like, I'm going to attack this. I think that's what you're talking about, like with Brady.
Yeah.
I'm going to attack this, and you have to have a certain mindset. I think Brock's built like that. He's
Yeah,
built
I
like,
believe it 100%.
I
think he's
forget. I
built
think it
that
was
way,
Greg Olson in one of the games. He's like, I forget which game it was, but he was like, look at this. Look at what Brock Purdy's doing. You can see it happening. He's like, he's stalking that defense like a predator, like he's about to like eat some prey. Like he's marching down the field like a predator, just like attacking them, like picking on them and destroying, like picking them apart.
There's
And
so many
that's
times where you're watching the game view from behind, and I'm like, where's Purdy going with this ball? And then he just layers it over the middle defender. Like, oh my God, that was an immaculate throw. Doesn't even need a whole bunch of arm strength. He just knows how much touch to put on that pass to get it over the defender.
Yeah, I hate to compare him to Montana, but that was Montana's gift.
That was
like
Montana's
the touch.
strength.
It's like the touch on the passes, the like knowing how to layer it, knowing the velocity he needed to use to get the ball to the right spot and throw a guy open. That was another thing Jimmy G never did, was throw guys open. And Purdy literally throws guys open. He has off schedule plays. He's like pointing to Ayuk, like go over there, and then darts it into the back of the end zone.
He's not throwing hospital balls like Jimmy was.
Yeah. So I really hate it doesn't bother me that much, like when people say that, because I just look at them like, you have a low football IQ. You don't know what you're looking at. So like when people are drawing that comparison to Jimmy G and Purdy, I'm just like, you really have no idea.
They're not even the same player. So like when people start talking about comparing them, it's like, all right, whatever. You don't know anything.
Yeah. And you played ball, so you know how it is. Like you can tell when like certain things, and you can tell that people know what they're talking about when they're, talking football, and you can tell when people are like just guessing or like, have never played a down in their life, but feel entitled because
they're just regurgitating garbage that they've heard elsewhere.
Yeah, exactly. They're parroting ESPN or whatever talking head.
Oh yeah, ESPN and what's this, Ryan Clark, that dude.
Yeah, he's a Niner hater, but
it's all right. It's all right. You want to hate, bro.
And Nick Wright too, because he's threatened that Brock Purdy's coming for that throne, so he's always like trying to crap on him. And now he's like this whole thing, like, oh, if the Niners don't have BA, that's the stupidest thing ever. And I'm like, yeah, I mean that would suck, right?
It would suck, but it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world.
Wouldn't be that in the world, and you don't even know what.
Still won Super Bowls without Tyreek Hill, so
yeah, right. And yeah, I mean, like we went there in 2019 with Emmanuel Sanders and a rookie Debo. Like that was pretty much it.
And Dante Pettis
or Kendrick Bourne. Was Kendrick Bourne?
Yeah, KB was there.
Like he was a rookie too, I think. I don't know, man. Like there was like nobody there, and they still did it. They had an elite defense, which if we can get back to this year and still have a semblance of the offense we had last season. I mean, obviously Christian McCaffrey's still there. We got a deep running back crop. I mean, 2 rookie wide receivers that are unknowns. Who knows? Maybe these guys are all pros right away. We don't know. Like, Jennings, I think, is poised for a huge year. Him and Purdy are like developing really good chemistry.
Jennings is a gamer.
Yeah, like, I mean that was my Super Bowl MVP if we would have won.
Yeah, if they won, he would have got my vote for sure.
Yeah, I don't think it would have been Brock. I mean, it could have been Brock just because quarterbacks always get it, but like
no, Jennings
balled out. He threw a touchdown. He caught a touchdown. He had some big catches over the middle of the field. Like, yeah, I don't know, man. I feel like he's poised for a big season. I think he's going to do it.
The brighter the lights are, the better Jennings plays. This is how I see it.
I know. He did it at Tennessee too with Dobbs, who's ironically the backup.
Oh
now,
yeah,
so the old Hail Mary. Who was that against? Georgia or Alabama? It was like
I believe it was Alabama. I think it was Alabama.
Yeah, it was some huge win. It was like a Hail Mary. He went up, high pointed it, won the game. So yeah, glad that guy's on our team. He's actually from Murfreesboro, Tennessee, which is like 20, 30, 40 minutes from me. Not far, just down the road. So yeah, I got a lot of, we were just talking about Jordan Mason. He's from Gallatin, Tennessee. So these guys all grew up around here.
That's good. That's good.
Kittle lives here now.
Homegrown talent from Tennessee, man. I like that.
Yeah, a lot of guys live here now too. Like Kittle has a house here. Trent Taylor, CJ Beathard, all these guys live here. So they're always like hanging out, working out together. I'm like, I don't go down to Nashville much because Nashville's just not really my scene. But like, you know, I'm always like hoping that I'll run into like some restaurant or something down that way and like
Right.
bump into somebody or something like that. It'd be pretty cool. I
Yeah,
think
man.
David
There
Lombardi.
ain't too many NFL players that come out of New Jersey. At least not any good ones.
Yeah, I think David Lombardi has a house here too. So there's a lot of Niners connections to here, and then obviously Rand Carthen came over from the Niners, now the
Yeah,
GM
he
for
came over.
the Titans. So, all right, next topic. Pretty excited, pretty pumped up about this guy. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, so I've watched a lot of the little snippets that they allow us to see for the training camp, and D Winters, I won't say he's a thumper, but he does tackle with a lot of velocity, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
But it's his coverage. He's they started putting him there with the ones, and he's been running stride for stride with like CMC. Like, you know
yeah,
how hard that is for a linebacker to do?
yeah, he strapped him and then cut in front of him and got a PBU. Like that's good,
Yeah,
man.
he,
Like,
he put he
I,
put McCaffrey in a phone booth.
yeah, and honestly, like I watch a lot of college football. I don't know how much you watch, but like
Oh yeah.
I watch
Well,
I watch him
I
at
don't really
TCU.
watch a lot of SEC. I watch more like Big Ten stuff up
Yeah,
here.
well, at TCU, and that's Big 12. It's no longer, or is it? I know OU and Texas went to the SEC. Not sure if TCU is still. Anyway, neither here nor there. He, one thing when I would watch those games is like D Winters was standing out. He looked like the Patrick Willis on the field. Like, there's just that guy, that stands out, and you're like, that guy's going to the NFL. And I remember
Yeah.
thinking that to myself his last year at TCU. I was like, oh, this guy's NFL bound for sure. And then when we drafted him, I was stoked because he actually blew up. I'm a Sooners fan. He blew up the Sooners like pretty bad, individually, made a lot of good plays. And that's where I first started noticing him, against the Sooners, and he started standing out. So I was pretty excited about him as a rookie. I'm even more excited about him now. I'm kind of glad that I'm not glad Dre Greenlaw's hurt, but I'm glad
Right,
that
but
D
he's
Winters,
getting a chance to shine.
because otherwise you probably wouldn't. I don't think he would.
Because like when D Winters was coming out of college, I'm not gonna lie, I didn't know anything about him because I don't watch TCU. It wasn't until he got drafted then I started watching some TCU tape, and I was like, yeah, he looks like a small Ole Miss version of Patrick Willis.
Yeah.
And like I tell people all the time who follow me is like, Patrick Willis is, when you think of a linebacker, I think of that dude.
Yeah.
Like he plays linebacker the way that linebacker is supposed
Old
to be
school.
played.
Yeah. I'm not sure if you caught his Hall of Fame speech, but it was pretty good.
Oh, of course
Um,
I did, man. Patrick Willis is my favorite 49ers draft pick of all time.
yeah. I've got a Patrick Willis jersey in my closet with the captain patch and everything. So
Oh, that's awesome.
pretty pumped up, about that. But yeah, I think that D Winters to me is kind of like more like Dre Greenlaw in my mind. Like when
Yeah,
Dre first came out,
with
like his rookie
the
year.
with the with the reckless abandon part, I would say, but
Yeah,
he's really good in coverage. Like he didn't really get a chance to shine last season, and kind of now you think back at it with the Super Bowl, wish they had put him in there instead of Oren Burks.
yeah, because Burks let Kelsey go 9 for 9. I mean,
Oh,
Dre
how do you
Greenlaw
let a guy go 9 for 9?
before Dre Greenlaw went out, he was strapping
Oh,
Kelsey
he was
too.
strapped up.
Yeah. And then Fred had to move over. I think that's when Pacheco started getting going a little bit because they're like, crap, we got to put Fred on him now. And,
Yeah.
I kind of like Jalen Graham because he's built like Fred Warner a little bit. He's like a little bit taller, a little bit slender, has the defensive back, background.
But he plays with a lower center of gravity than Fred, though. I feel like Fred leaves his feet too often.
Yeah. And I'm
But
not
Jalen
sure
Graham,
how much special teams value Jalen Graham's going to have because I kind of feel like it's between Ezekiel Turner because he's got that special teams.
right?
He's an ace, So I don't know if Jalen Graham could supplant Turner in that way. But if he can, I would like Graham's depth more behind Fred Warner than I would Turner.
Yeah, I think Turner's more of just a special teams guy, not really a defensive rotation piece, in my opinion. No, I'd rather have Graham in there.
For sure. Yeah, I would like to see him stay healthy this year. I can't wait. I think he's going to probably play a lot on Saturday just because they haven't really got to see him. So I think he's going to be out there. They probably want to see him, covering some tight ends and things like that and see what he looks like. But yeah, I was pretty excited about both those guys in that draft. I think D Winters was picked in the third round.
I think it was the fifth round,
Is it
fifth or sixth round.
Because I
Yeah,
know
it was he
Graham
was
was the
definitely a
7th.
third day, a day 3 pick.
Okay, so they were both day 3 pick. It was him, and then Graham went in the 7th. I know Graham went after him. So
Yeah, Graham went after him.
all right, so and then this is a good segue into this player because this player is kind of a hybrid, in my opinion. I don't know how. I think they're going to try him at safety, but he's built like a linebacker. So, what are your initial
Yeah.
thoughts on Mustafa?
So like watching his tape from Wake Forest, he kind of reminds me of, I don't know if how well you know Jets players, but he reminds me of Victor Green that used to play for the Jets. Like with
Okay,
the way that he plays in the box. Like when Victor Green was in the box, you wasn't getting past that dude, and that dude was gonna hurt you, putting you down to the ground. And
yeah,
Mustafa reminds me a lot of Green in that way.
yeah, okay. I'm not
Yeah,
sure who that is, so I can't
yeah,
picture
yeah.
him.
It's this
But
this is like from like the '90s.
yeah, and Mustafa is interesting too because we don't know how Hufanga's really going to look. Like saw him at camp, like in shorts and t-shirt, and he's bouncing around. He had his hair out, kind of looked like Troy
Yeah,
Polamalu. It's bouncing around, and we don't know how he's going to look after was it an ACL or MCL?
it
I
was
can't
it was
remember.
a I think it was an ACL, and
Yeah, it was
he wasn't really playing that great before he got hurt.
I
Like
think he was.
compared to the year before when he was an All Pro, I personally didn't think he was playing that great.
I almost, I almost wonder if like he tweaked it before and was like it was like partially something part did something
It's
partial
possible.
because
It's
it was a
possible.
non-contact injury and he did look a little bit slower just all of a sudden. He didn't have that burst that he had before. So I think they repaired it. Fortunately nowadays with modern medicine, those things can heal up and he's looking pretty good. He's allegedly supposed to be in the joint practices with the Saints here in the
Thanks. Okay.
preseason
I really
preseason.
hope to see him on the field. I want to see how he bounces back from this injury.
Yeah.
When you
And
have a
it's
guy
not
like
like
him,
sounds
go
like
sorry, go ahead.
Odom. Yeah, it sounds like Odom and Mustafa are doing really well in camp. So those are decent stopgaps. I think the Saints might have signed Justin Simmons. I know he was in there for a visit. Haven't seen anything confirmed on that,
Uh,
but I know a lot of
they could
Niners
afford
fans
to pay Simmons.
this year for 1 year because they have cap space. But it's like, then you're pushing all the chips in again for 1 year. And honestly, like, I don't want to be the Rams. I know like Brock Purdy is going to have to get paid next year, but I don't want to be the Rams where like you're counting on half your defense or half your offense being rookies. And that's what the Rams are going to do this year. Like Jared Verse, Braden Fitt, their whole defensive line is going to be, they got Kobe Turner. He's only going to be in his second year. Defensive line takes a long time to develop, so that's going to be rough for them,
And
I think.
they're definitely going to take a step back since Aaron Donald's not there anymore.
Yeah, and they
Not
pushed
yet.
all their chips in for that 1 year, and they still they could have lost if Jaquiski Tart would have caught that interception that
And
Stafford threw. It went right in his breadbasket, and he dropped it. So, like, that would have sealed it. And
Tarts never played another game again after that.
there's good reason because that film is glaring. It's like, dude, you could have sealed it. That was it. That was a wrap. Then we would have played the Bengals and beat them for the third time. So anyway, I think that yeah, I don't know. Hufanga is interesting, but I don't. The Niners haven't been really paying safeties. I think they paid Jimmy Ward
Yeah, they
a
paid
little
Jimmy
bit.
Ward, but Jimmy Ward was a do it all type of dude. I don't really see Hufanga in that mold. He's more of a playmaker in the blitzing aspect and
Yeah,
getting picks.
right. And here's something interesting. Also, I don't know if you knew this or not, but Renardo Green has played some safety. He played some safety at Florida State, and he's kind of that smaller. Like he's a little bit taller, I think, than Jimmy Ward, but he's a little bit
Right, right.
smaller frame. So if you could take Green and move him back to free safety and give him some reps there just to see what it looks like, and then move Brown over to strong safety where he might be better suited, then you have some depth with Odom and Mustafa and these types of guys in an
Yeah,
emergency
I agree.
situation. So I kind of want to see what Green looks like back there in that free safety because he's rangy, he's a ball hawk, he's scrappy, he's everything you want out of a free safety.
And
And
he's got that dog. Like
yeah,
I like to see defensive players with that dog mentality. Short
yeah,
memory. You don't want to be like Ambry Thomas, who you could tell like when he messes up, it stays in his head and it just makes
yeah.
him play
It's
worse.
it's not like next play. All right, I'm gonna make it up. like it wasn't that. It was like he's still thinking about this, and oh no, I'm gonna make
Right.
another mistake. And yeah, I agree with that. You got to have that short memory. You got to have that dog mentality. Like, like if you mess up, get pissed off and play better the next play. Like you have
Exactly.
to have that.
That I mean, that's how I was brought up on the field. It's like you get beat on a play. Everybody gets beat. You get beat on a play.
Yeah.
Walk it off and get ready for the next play.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. So I don't know. I think they're going to move some pieces around. Staley is sort of like a guru with the secondary. So I think this is the deepest that Kyle's ever had in the secondary. I think that this is probably the best unit that we've had. So, if we can get Dre back by November, and then kind of like we talked about, stake him at that Sam, maybe D Winters is already shining by that point, and then we can trust all three linebackers. We got Campbell too. We haven't even talked about Campbell. That was another addition. So he's 1 season, 2 seasons removed from All Pro. I mean, I think he lost a step. The Packers
he definitely lost a step, and he's not that great in coverage. He's more of a run defender.
Right. Like you want to stick him at that Sam position, but I think they have been working him at the will, which I'm not a huge fan of. But he actually was in on that play that in the divisional game that messed Debo's shoulder up again.
Right. Because
he spun him around, and then that DB, I think it was Alexander. Might be wrong. I think it was Alexander though. Kind of hit him weird, and then
it was either Alexander or Savage, one of those guys. I don't remember which one.
Yeah, but Campbell was the guy kind of like swinging him around, and then Debo got hit again in the same spot. I was like, come on. Yeah, that's another player you got to protect from himself. Like Debo's just gonna go 100%, 110% every time.
He doesn't know the meaning of making a business decision.
No, he's just like he's Saleh, like what Saleh's mantra was, like all gas, no brakes, all the time.
Yeah.
So unless he's not getting the ball, according to Grant Cohn. But sometimes sometimes he's a decoy, and I think sometimes he sandbags it on purpose because they're setting up. Kyle's like a chess player; he's always thinking ahead. So he's like, run at half speed, make him think you're only a decoy, and then the next play we're going to do that again, and then you just hit him with a full sprint, and you're gone. Like
that's right.
Kyle does that stuff. He puts that kind of detail into his plays. So like sandbagging and stuff like that. So Anyway, any more thoughts on Mustafa outside of him looking like Bo Jackson?
I mean, Mustafa's shredded. You got to give him that. Like that dude was built on Mount Olympus.
Right. Yeah.
But I want to see how well he plays with other NFL guys, because at Wake Forest, the competition's not that great, and it was easy for him to stand out. But I want to see how he plays with the big boys. I want to see him get into it with DK Metcalf. See how that goes.
2 yoked up dudes just swinging helmets at each other. Yeah, we haven't talked about him at all or really that much, and I haven't heard anybody really mention him, so I don't even know how he's doing. Is Jalen Mahoney, the other safety from Vanderbilt?
Yeah, I haven't seen. Yeah, probably maybe like 2 or 3 clips of him, but I've not really heard anything about him.
And then Taylor Hawkins, these are some guys that are. I think they just signed safety yesterday. He has like 43 starts.
Tracy Walker.
Tracy Walker, right? And he came from the Colts, or where did he come from?
The Lions.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, the Lions.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. The safety position is going to be something to watch in the preseason for sure. I want to see how everything shakes out. You always have that 1 or 2 player that's just like, dude, like just playing out of their minds. And you're like, there's no way you cannot have this guy on the roster. There's always that one dude, or maybe 2 sometimes, that just come out of nowhere, and you're like, holy crap, who is this guy?
Yeah, like Taylor Hawkins last season. I think he played it against the Bucks. I think he had a pick in that game, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, in a regular season game?
Yeah, in a regular season game. I don't know if it was a start or he came in for a guy who got hurt, but I know I saw him play and he got a pick.
Well, what happened to him? Because eventually they got the guy from the Patriots,
Logan Ryan.
Logan Ryan, and they called him when he was on a cruise ship or something.
Yeah, I don't remember what happened to him after that game, but I know in his first game he got a pick. I just don't remember who they played against.
Yeah, and Ryan was kind of like a liability in that Super Bowl a little bit. I mean, he gave up the game winning.
Yeah, to Mecole Hardman. Jesus,
wide open. Like my grandma could have thrown that. Jimmy G would have Jimmy G would have found a way to mess that up. He would have
He would have overthrew him or something.
Kaepernick probably would have done those 5 times to Crabtree way over his head.
Oh,
I mean, Crabtree was getting held, but like, yeah.
Oh,
I think you
the
froze
right
again.
Play call.
You look like you went. You kind of froze up again. Your face like froze, and
Oh,
it looked like you're sleeping. Yeah. So
nah, I'm up.
All right. I'm gonna move on. Keep this thing rolling. Got a few more topics here. Debo contract year potential out in 2025, and this was a topic earlier, like in OTAs. It was kind of like, who do you keep in 2025? Are you gonna give Brandon Ayuk that longer term deal and then get rid of Debo because Debo's like closer to 30 and he's kind of used like a running back?
Right.
And running backs' magical age where they decline has always been
Around
like
that
30 years old,
year.
unless you're Frank Gore or some freak of nature. So I don't know if they would move on from Debo. I think Kyle's like boys with Debo. And
to me, it all depends on what kind of season Debo has. If it's like 2021 all over again, he's not going anywhere.
Yeah, and one of the biggest knocks on him is like the press coverage, the press man coverage. You can't get off it.
Yeah, because
so
he's not. He doesn't have great acceleration. So if you strap him up at the line, it's hard for him to get going.
Right. So you almost have to like motion him every time or something to get him going.
Which is what they do with Amon-Ra St. Brown, but people like to talk about him like he's the next Jerry Rice or something.
Yeah, I mean,
like this dude plays almost exclusively in the slot, and they're talking about him like he's a top 5 receiver. I'm sorry, but I can't put a dude who plays too many snaps in the slot as a top 5 receiver.
Yeah,
the big boys play on the outside.
Would you have considered? When Deshaun Jackson was with the Eagles, would you have considered him a wide receiver 1? He could play outside too.
Yeah, but he can play outside, but a wide receiver 1, nah, he's like a 1C.
Well, when he was there with McNabb, who was the other?
I think Jeremy Maclin was the one.
Right. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, like Amon-Ra has had a crazy stat line. Like he had 120 catches or something ridiculous like that. Had 1,600 yards. Got snubbed, I think, in the Pro Bowl, but he did get an All-Pro. So
I'll take the All-Pro all day.
Yeah, because Pro Bowl is like arbitrary. Like it's voted on by a bunch of nobody, so who cares? Yeah, Pro Bowls are weird anymore anyway. They don't even play. They're like playing flag football now. It's stupid.
Yeah.
They should have they should have made it into where it counts for something. Like, I don't know. You know how like the Major League Baseball does like, stuff to where it has like World Series implications?
Yeah.
Maybe do something like that where you get to choose whatever you want, like in the Super Bowl. You get to receive or kick, no coin toss. But like the Pro Bowl means something for the next year, like give them some incentive, but I don't know.
Or maybe put the Pro Bowl in the middle of the season as opposed to the end of the season.
Well, if they do 18 games a year, might as well. Like, may as well.
Yeah, because I'm sure that 18-game season is coming sooner than later.
Yeah, I mean they're going to have to put another bye week in there. There's no way those players are not going to agree to just do 18 weeks. Just okay.
Yeah, you got to get a second bye week, and then the number 2 team once again gets the bye again.
Yeah, it is another game check and the revenue, and then NFLPA will negotiate all that. So, in their mind, it is more money, but like they have to, if they truly want to protect the players, they got to put 2 bye weeks. And honestly, they should just put them all at the same time. I don't know if they can do that or not, but just like week 6 or something is bye for everybody, and week 12 or whatever is bye week for everybody. Just let everybody rest. Like break it up into quarters. I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
It's just
let everybody rest up.
So yeah, I don't know what they're gonna do with Debo.
Yeah, it's hard
next
to call
year. Everything's contingent on this season. So if Ayuk is here, it's gonna be like they're gonna have to watch that all year. Like if they both stay relatively healthy, that is a real competition. And then if BA is like wanting more money, he's playing on his 5th-year contract. How does that mess with him mentally? Like he's like, I'm not getting targets. Like Kyle's purposely not target. Know how it's just like human nature to think that. And even if it's not true, and Kyle's like, I know the best way to beat these guys, and it's given it to CMC and Kittle this game because I've looked at the tape and the film. But BA's like, my production is hinging on my next contract.
Right.
So I don't know, man.
Yeah, it's a bunch of different things to think about when you're in BA situation. And
Yeah.
the Niners, they play hardball with their players, and these guys come into camp, if they come to camp, and then they have a slow start to their season, and I just don't want that for BA, especially when he's trying to get paid.
Yeah, Larry, excuse me, Larry Krueger brought something up today, and I don't know if I misheard it or not. He was kind of rambling through stuff pretty quickly, so I'm gonna have to go back and listen to it again because it almost sounded like he said that the Niners went back to the table with Brandon Ayuk and did offer him more money, a little bit more money. I think something to that
No, I
nature.
don't know. I haven't watched Kruger in a while, so I don't know. But
Yeah,
if they
he
did
said.
offer him more money, is like, are they putting more guarantees in there to kind of like lower the cap hit? I'm not sure.
Yeah, he just said a little bit more money, and I don't know what does that mean. I don't know what that means. So, take that for what it's
I
worth,
mean, instead of 26, is he getting 27 and a half?
or like 26 and a half, right? Like, I mean, 26 and a half, this still adds up over 4 years. That's $2 million. Like, for
Yeah,
me and you, we'll take it. Like, right? Like, give me $2
of
million.
course.
But for somebody like
I
that,
would have signed the first day, but that's me.
yeah, he should have. I mean, Ryan, like I said, Ryan Williams screwed him. Like, if he would have just signed that deal that was on the table, like, imagine how much stuff could have been avoided. Imagine where we would be in a whole different universe right now of
Yeah,
talking
not
football.
not talking about Brandon Ayuk's contract or his money. We're
Yeah,
talking more football related topics.
right, exactly. So, but it's all every year. There's a drama with the Niners, right? If it's not BA, it's Nick Bosa. If it's not Nick Bosa, next year is going to be Brock Purdy. Watch. I mean,
Right,
he's
right,
probably
right.
not going to hold out, and they already got a number in mind. And Brock's humble, so he's going to sign on the dotted line because he doesn't care. But
Hey, look, he was the last pick in the draft. I'm pretty sure your next contract will be better than your first one, for sure.
yeah, wasn't Jimmy G was either like top 5 or the highest paid at one point. So the Niners aren't
Yeah,
afraid to pay quarterbacks.
when he signed his extension in 2018, at the time he was the highest paid quarterback in the league after
Yeah,
5 games.
right, right. I'm gonna check the comments here. Let's just see. Oh, hold on. This is my other co-host here. Hey everyone, what's up, dude? What's up, Tommy? 49ers media, what's up? Got a lot of people in here. Oh, I think we can all agree with that comment. I'm not going to say it, but I'll post it there.
Yep.
Most of us, anyway.
It speaks for itself.
So yeah, I don't know with the Debo stuff. I think that it'll work itself out.
It'll
The way
work
it needs
itself
to.
out.
So
Debo, he's come to camp motivated, and a motivated Debo is the most dangerous version of him.
yeah, he slimmed down. Looks like he worked really hard this offseason. I don't think he stopped working this offseason. You could see it in his face, like in the pressers, like he's thinner. Like,
Yeah.
he's ready to go. He looks like a little bit more sleek and maybe slight bit quicker. So maybe some of that get off will happen
Will
this
help
season.
him.
Maybe he can and Kyle can scheme him open a little bit more.
If he plays every game like the Eagles game, watch out.
Right. Yeah. Just tell him it's the Eagles every single week. Just be like, or the Chiefs now, right? Like the Chiefs
Right,
are
right, right.
the get back game. And I hope we blow them out 63-0. Like, and then we break them like we broke the Eagles. So that would be fantastic.
That would be great.
Like all of a sudden Mahomes just turns into Jalen Hurts and just that'd be great. That'd be fantastic. I'd love nothing more than to like shut Chiefs fans up and watch Mahomes have like the worst year of his career. And now that I said that, he'll probably have the best year of his career, but because that's just how
that remains to be seen. He has so much unproven talent at wide receiver. And what's his name? Kelsey. He's a year older.
He was already slow last. It looked like he was running on 2 broken kneecaps last year. It was like, calm down, dude. It was bad, and that's what makes it even more frustrating in the Super Bowl when Burks was getting cooked. I'm like, dude, you got Roy Boy, Mr. Pfizer with 2 broken kneecaps over here roasting you, dude. What's going on? Like, how did Wilkes or nobody like no just be like, dude, he's getting beat like he stole some Put somebody else in. I don't even
Yeah,
care. Put
it was
put
right.
Mitch
It was
Wish.
right then and there that an adjustment should have been made,
Like,
and it
dude, just
wasn't.
put like Mitch Wishnowsky in. At this point, it can't get worse. Like, put in Nick or Jake Moody. He could probably do a better job at this point. Like, I don't know. Anyway, let's keep this thing going. We got a couple more topics. Hall of Fame game review. I did watch it. I don't remember much of it outside of that got rained out at the end. It was like
Right,
lightning and a
right, right.
thunderstorm, but the kickoff rule was interesting. We finally got to see that in a game. Saw it again tonight. I saw one kickoff tonight in the Panthers Patriots game before we hopped on here. So yeah, I think it's really interesting. I think you and I kind of talked about it on Twitter, and you're like, I don't know if I like it or not. And
Yeah,
I
because
was like, oh, give it a chance. But to me,
I'm trying. I'm going to give it a chance because it's part of the game now. I'm just like when you grow up and you watch guys like Allen Rossum and Deion Sanders returning kicks,
Devin Hester was the one who said I
Devin
would love to
Hester,
try this.
and the guy that I was having an argument with a guy on Twitter. Like nobody ever talks about Cribbs, Josh Cribbs. Like he's
Oh
one of the
yeah,
greatest returners of all time,
I
but nobody
know.
talks about him.
Why? That's so weird. Yeah, now that you say that, I'm like, I'd never remember Josh Cribbs either. Like, that's so weird. Why doesn't nobody talk about that guy? Yeah, he was phenomenal.
But yeah, Josh Cribbs, he was
So,
a
but
joy to watch, even though he played for Cleveland. He was a joy to watch.
so for me with the kickoff thing, here's how I view it. I don't know if maybe this could resonate with you, but like I was kind of just getting sick of like just watching touchback after touchback. I'm just like, get rid of the kickoff. What's the point? You're just wearing your kicker's leg out for no reason.
Right.
So for me, this at least gives it a chance, and it's almost like an actual football play because the guys are lining up on the opposite, 40 or 10 yards from each other, the 40 and the 30, I think. So there's not as big of an impact on collision, but then you have like a fullback or a blocker and then a returner back there. So it almost winds up coming together, not quite like a running back play, but a little bit like that. You get a little bit of a head start, those returner guys. And then the only thing I don't like about it is like your kickers now your safety. So that
your kicker's gotta make
that
tackle, man.
I don't mind crazy Mitch Wishnowsky doing it because he's like a former rugby player and I think he like low key likes tackling people and blowing people up.
I don't want to see Jake Moody out there trying to tackle dudes.
No way, dude. If I would just be like, go ahead, bye. Just like Ole, I got kicking to do. Like, I'm not going to try to throw my body in there as a kicker. And then, that's bad. So I don't know. Maybe they should just like say the kicker can kick it and just have a guy standing next to it. Because, so that was one of the things. I don't know if you caught this. Did you watch the Hall of Fame game?
I watched like the replays of it. I didn't watch it live.
So one of the new kickoff rules is that if it's windy, you can have a 12th guy out there on the kicking team.
Oh, to hold the ball.
But then he has to sprint off the field. So what if they just made it to where you have an actual defender back there and the kicker kicked it and had to run off the field? All right. Like that solves the problem. You're basically doing it.
So that way you don't have to make your kicker make the tackle.
It would look goofy, but I mean, it already did look good. I was like, what the hell? They got 12 people out there. Like, throw the flag. Like, that was so weird. And then the guy just like sprints off. Like, you remember how like Alden Smith used to get a sack and sprint off? That's exactly what it looked like. It just sprint off the sideline.
So there's the aspect where you can't do an onside kick until the fourth quarter. I don't know how I feel about that.
Well, there's not a whole lot of them in the second half. But I actually agree with you there because I don't like the spontaneity getting taken out of it. Because like, what if a team's down by like 30 at the end of the third and they need like 4 onside kicks? I mean, they're probably not going to win, but at least give them the opportunity.
Yeah, close the gap a little bit or something.
Maybe they should just make it to where no onside kicks in the first half, but they don't happen in the first half anyway. So why even say it? I don't know. It's just weird. I agree with you there. That is a little bit weird.
Like that Super Bowl between the Colts and the Saints, where the Saints did that onside kick to begin the second half. That was a good way to turn the momentum in that game.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah, I agree with you there. That's kind of dumb. I mean, they say the fourth quarter, so I guess in a blowout situation. But like, what if you need to do that onside kick and it's like 3 seconds left in the third quarter? You can't do it. That's just weird.
And if you do it, is it going to be a flag?
Yeah, it is. They'll just make you re-kick it or something. I don't even know what the consequence is for that. If you're just like, screw it, let me onside kick. I mean, you have to announce that you're also doing an onside kick. You can't
Yeah,
just
that's another one of the rules,
you
which
can't
I
just
think is
like
even worse.
you can't just line up and then run into an onside kick formation like you used to be able to. You have to say, hey, by the way, I'm kicking it to that guy over there. Like, that's stupid. Like,
Yeah, I'm kicking the 40 white over there. Hopefully he drops it.
it's dumb. It's dumb. I mean, I guess if you're like Waterboy and you're like, oh yeah, there's my
Yeah, yeah.
but yeah, I don't know, man. It is weird. They need to I think this is kind of like they might tweak it in 2025. Hopefully. If it kind of goes if it's a shit show, I think they might just yank it all together.
Yeah, and
But
just go back to the way it was.
yeah, but I don't know. I just like the fact that we can see returns for kickoffs because I feel like that element has been missing for a while just because they moved the kicking stuff around and kickers just kicking out of the back of the end zone.
Right.
It's like what's
Yeah,
the
like
point? It's
Jake
so
Jake
boring.
Moody had a bunch of touchbacks last year.
Yeah,
You
I
know, I
mean
mean,
he's got
it's good for our guys because we don't have to worry about tackling a kick returner, but
yeah
we don't
he's
we need to get a good kick returner ourselves because we ain't gonna find a Ted Ginn on the street.
well. That's why I was hoping for Garendo because I think Garendo would have been. I mean, maybe not, but I want to see Garendo do it. You know, some
Yeah,
of his tape at Louisville. I mean, that guy's flying.
right.
If he gets past that initial little collision between the defense and or the receiving and the kicking team, like if he
Yeah,
gets past there, he's definitely housing it. Like nobody's gonna catch that guy. And we have a couple other guys like that too, like Cowing.
yeah.
Um, Breida, I think, has that ability still. Maybe he looked a little bit slower with the Dolphins, but
It's
actually,
crazy how he looks slower. He doesn't even play that much.
yeah. Did he go? Wait, he went to the
No,
Bills.
last season he was with the Giants, I think.
Yeah, he's bounced around a little bit. So I don't even know if he'll make the team. I think they just need a running back that's familiar with
Yeah,
the
they need
system.
bodies because McCaffrey's not going to play all preseason, and
And then,
Mitchell's hurt, and Garendo's hurt.
yeah, and that was another guy also that I thought about having do it. Like if he's, I mean, healthy, which is almost never, is Elijah Mitchell. Just because he's RB2 or has been RB2, and I think he has a little bit of when he's healthy, he has a little bit of burst. He has a little bit of edge. He will try to run guys over. So I do like Elijah Mitchell when he's healthy, but he's just never healthy. So
Yeah, I think once he got hurt the first time in his rookie season, all that burst that he had it just slowly dwindled. Like he's not as fast as he was a couple years ago. He's just
yeah,
had too many injuries to the lower legs.
yeah, that rookie season though was pretty epic. It was like 10 games. He had like 900 yards. I
He
mean,
was
he
so
was
close to 1,000 yards, so close,
yeah,
and only playing in 10 games. Dude is a stud, and his best asset is that he doesn't put the ball on the ground.
yeah. He doesn't fumble. He's reliable. Like when Christian McCaffrey went out a couple times last year, he punched it in. Like Christian McCaffrey ran it down to the goal line against was it the Packers or Detroit? It's one of those games. It was a playoff game,
Yeah,
and
I think it was Detroit.
they put him in, and he just punched it right in, like no problem. So, I think if we can get Jordan Mason to do that and be reliable and not cough it up.
Yeah, especially like in the fourth quarter, you trying to close the game out. Nobody wants to tackle Jordan Mason in the fourth
Ah,
quarter.
I've been saying that. Like everybody's tired. I told my buddy he was in the chat a little bit ago, the one that did the whole Grant Cohn thing. So like, I told him I was like, that guy's a closer, like a pitcher. Like coming in for the save. Like if you put that guy in
Yeah,
the fourth quarter and
like
like
he did
get the
in the
opposing defense,
Cowboys game. Like
he's gonna
those
just
Cowboys defenders didn't want no parts of him.
oh no, he'll just run people over left and right. So yeah, I agree. That I don't know. There's so much to be excited about, and I just don't understand like all these other content creators and some of the certain beat reporters like get so like doom and gloom. Like I just there's so much to be excited about with this team. There's I personally don't look at it as like a last dance type thing, just because the roster building has been so good with Kyle Shanahan and John
Yeah,
Lynch,
that's true.
whether it's free agent or draft. Like they're just so good at putting the right pieces together and not just going out and getting a big name because it's a big name. And I think other teams do that to a degree. They're like get enamored, but like these guys really think about like, is this guy going to be a good fit for the defense and what we do, and also the culture. They
Right. The
take all those
culture
things
is
into
very
account.
important.
And I think as long as Kyle's here and John's here, I think that's going to continue. Yeah, a lot of these guys are getting older, but we're starting to see like an emergence of all this young talent, with draft picks and stuff like that. And then, once these older guys like Trent and CMC go away, they're going to find the right acquisitions, I think,
That's
to
right.
keep the party rolling. So I don't see an end any time soon. I don't
And
buy into this whole
and you got
last
the
dance thing.
quarterback.
Yeah. And the salary cap is the same for everyone. So you have to manage your salary cap. And so all these things are always going for the Niners. And even though you're going to pay Brock Purdy an insane amount of money, like you could, there's a way to mitigate that. Like you can damage control that and, figure out like a way
Yeah,
to
you
keep
could
that going.
always move some money around from one year to the next, so that way you always have a competitive team on the field.
Yeah. And as
You
long as
know,
you're getting the right guys and everything like that, I think it works. All right, let's
because
close it out with these last two games. Saturday game, what are you looking forward to the most?
well, like we discussed off air, I'm really looking forward to seeing how good the Niners' depth is going to be against the Titan starters, because the Niners aren't going to be playing any starters in this game,
Nope.
and the
Except for
Titans.
maybe Jake Moody. They
Yeah,
might sprinkle in a couple guys.
yeah,
I don't think
maybe a series, but I just don't see him playing much.
yeah. I mean, Brock's not going to play, right? Like CMC's obviously out with the
Oh yeah,
calf thing.
CMC's not going to play.
George is probably not going to play. So yeah, I don't maybe Juice for like a series. I
Yeah,
don't know. They might throw a couple guys out there just to have some vets out there with the younger guys. So, but yeah, I mean, it's going to be really interesting. Like, seeing the cornerbacks, the younger cornerbacks and stuff try to cover DeAndre Hopkins and Calvin Ridley and, some of these elite wide
oh yeah,
receivers.
I forgot Calvin Ridley's in Tennessee.
And then who's Tony Pollard. He's all healed up finally. So he's looking really good this camp for them. There's going to be a lot of guys out there that are going to give the Niners second team some problems. But if our second team looks good against their first team, I mean,
Yeah, that speaks a
that's
lot about
positive.
the Niners. I'm also curious to see if Dominic was it Pune?
Pooney,
Yeah,
yeah.
Pune. Yeah, I want to see how he holds up in some live action.
He's been shining. And I wish Forrester wouldn't just be so set on putting him at guard because he did play left tackle at Kansas and he gave up 0 sacks last year.
Right.
0 sacks. So, like, just in a preseason game, just throw him out there. Let's see what he looks like, right? Like Trent
See
Williams
what he can do.
holding
Because
out. Like,
Trent's definitely not going to play, so put him out there and see what he can do.
but he's not even repping as a tackle. So it's like, I don't get that mentality. It's like this guy's probably going to be a future I think he's got future all pro talent. So like, just test him out. Test him out everywhere. What if he winds up being the next great left tackle after Trent Williams?
So what if he has short arms? If he can block, he can block.
Right. If he can move around, like he can move around and get in front of people and, stall them or, I don't know. It's crazy to me. Like, 0 sacks in 2023 as left tackle for Kansas. I mean, that's impressive and barely any
That's
pressures.
very impressive. Honestly, I'm surprised they were even able to get him in the third round.
Yeah. Yeah. He's a dog. I watched him at the Senior Bowl. Oh my God. He was just destroying everybody. Like Jared Verse, all these guys Braden Fisk that he's going to be going up against in the Rams and everything. Like
Mauling them. Pancake City all day.
yeah. Yeah. And who's the guy from the Cardinals? The Cardinals drafted that, God, what's his name?
The kid from Texas, right? Byron Murphy, I think.
No, that guy went to Seattle. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
No, I'm thinking the other guy. I cannot think of his name. Rookie defensive end. I think a lot of Niners. Missouri guy. Oh, Darius Robinson. So
okay.
he was kind of taking care of him a little bit too. He's taking care of everybody. He went to Kansas, so basketball school. But yeah, I don't know. Very interested to see that also. Defensively, the Titans are decent, so I'd like to see the Dobbs kind of get comfortable in this offense and at least get a couple solid drives. And then same thing with Allen. I guess Allen had a huge bomb to somebody today. I don't know. I don't even know who it was. Like, it might have been Debo. I don't know. But yeah, I don't even know if Dobbs is like locked at quarterback 2. I think he should, just because I think he's very smart. The guy's like a rocket scientist or something like that.
And he has a underrated athleticism.
Yeah, he can move and he can get outside the pocket. He can buy time. Very impressive last year, going from the Cardinals to the Vikings in a week, picking up their offense and then starting like in a couple days' time. He learned their offense.
He learned that offense.
at least enough, So yeah, I don't know. Very, very curious to see it. And then Tanner Mordecai, that guy's going to come in the fourth
Yeah,
quarter.
Brock
The
Purdy
athletic,
light.
yeah, the athletic guy from 5, 6 different schools. He started at OU, been to SMU, Wisconsin. Like he's the Van Wilder of the NFL. Like he stayed in college for like 8 years. Guy was like there forever. So I'm interested. He's like a 27-year-old rookie. I don't know. I'm interested to see what he looks like, though. I mean, he could be like a Jeff Driscoll type guy.
Oh no, not Jeff Driscoll. Jeff, he was
That's kind
trash.
of that's what I kind of pictured this Tim Mordecai being. I don't know. I just feel like he's a camp arm. But anyway, I'm gonna get to your favorite topic, the last topic, because you live up there in New Jersey, and I want to hear your thoughts on the Jets, and then we can close out. I think most
Right.
everybody's checked out, but
We got the New York Jets week 1 on Monday Night Football. Aaron Rodgers makes his glorious return to the Bay Area. And the Jets
against
already
Leonard,
are down their best pass rusher in Hassan Reddick, who's
yeah,
not reported to camp because he wants a new
yeah,
deal.
he's lost $1 million waiting for a new deal, so that's a good strategy.
Yeah, real
But
smart, Mr. Reddick. And now you got
he could have just held in, like Brandon
could
Ike's
have.
holding. Why didn't he just like stand on the sidelines and drink Gatorade and eat sunflower seeds, like
Why
and get
lose
paid?
that money unnecessarily, bro?
Some of these players just getting such bad advice from their agents. Like, if I was his
Oh,
agent, I'd be like, "You're not. Get your ass in there, dude. Like, go to the cafeteria, hit the gym, like
do
inside the facility.
something.
Like,
Yeah, but show your face. Don't just not show up.
it's weird. Like, I don't know. And then Leonard Floyd's the guy who ruptured Rogers' Achilles, so he's playing against him. And then Hassan Reddick, if he is with the Jets, is also the guy who blew up Brock Purdy's arm.
Purdy's arm, yeah.
So that would be interesting. Hopefully, Rogers can make it past 3 snaps this season. I think that
And, I'm curious to see because the word down the road here is that the Jets offensive line is revamped and they're reinvigorated. I mean, they got Tyron Smith. He's like 80 years old in football years. I don't know how
yeah,
much he has left in the tank, but I
actually
just want
forgot.
to see how well the 49ers starting defensive line is going to play against their starting offensive line to start the season.
Yeah. I was shocked that they picked him up and were like excited about it. I was like, he stopped being good for Dallas like a season and a half ago. Like, why are you so pumped up? I mean, that's his blind side. So,
I mean, Tyron Smith has no knees
but
left. Like he's done.
yeah,
He's
if you
done.
can't slide as a tackle, I mean, they could have just moved him inside, maybe tried
I
him
I
out at
I,
guard.
I thought that's what they were going to do when they brought him up to New York. I thought they were going to slide him inside because he can't play on the outside anymore.
Oh well, that's
At
their
least at least not at a elite level. No.
yeah, that's their problem, I guess. I also saw some footage of Garrett Wilson and Aaron Rodgers were really close last year, like in the Hard Knocks and everything like that. But I saw some footage recently, and maybe I'm blowing it out of proportion, but they were like barking at each other, like pissed off,
Yeah.
like
Yeah,
yelling at each
I
other.
saw that too. And it could just be, Rodgers just them being demanding of the receivers, kind of like how he was with the young guys up in Green Bay.
Yeah,
Garrett
but
Wilson is better than those guys that he was playing with his last season in Green Bay. Garrett
yeah,
Wilson
but
was a
Rogers
was a 10 pick.
Rogers is like arrogant. He's like, he thinks he's entitled. Like he doesn't think he has to show up for stuff and be part of the team because he's earned his stripes and stuff like that. And to some of these younger guys, like Wilson, they might be looking at that like you're supposed to be our leader, but you want to go on vacation to some event while the rest of us are over here working, like
Yeah, grinding during camp, and you're over there having fun.
with your Hollywood friends. Like, come on, bro. Like,
It's not a
I,
good look from a leadership standpoint.
it's not a good look at all. Like, I don't know what he's doing. Like, he's just like, he's not a good leader in my opinion. And besides, the Niners own him. Like, the Niners just have, even when he had those good Green Bay teams, for some reason the Niners just like own Aaron Rodgers. Like, and it was kind of the same thing with Brady, right? Like, these are they grew up loving the Niners, but they just couldn't beat them. Like,
Yeah, like I mean, Brady's what 2-2 against the Niners, but the two Niners teams he beat were just
is he
two.
really? I thought he
Yeah,
was
he's two.
less because
No,
like
it's 2-2.
Kaepernick beat him in New England in that snow game back
Yeah,
in
that was
whenever, and then
2012
Brock beat him.
and
Jimmy
2022.
never got to play him. So
No,
those
but
are
by the
two.
time, yeah, so he only played against the Niners 4 times, and his 2 wins came against the 2-14 Niner teams.
Oh yeah, congratulations.
Yeah, so you didn't beat anybody.
Right. Well, yeah, that's going to be a fun game. So I don't know. We'll see what
I'm
happens,
excited
but
for it. I love
I
beating
think
up on the Jets, so
the only
I'm
thing I don't
excited
like
for
about
it.
it is that it's Monday night already. They're giving us a short week right off the bat.
Right.
So not crazy about that, but we are playing. Who are we playing? Minnesota. Sam Darnold's Minnesota Vikings. Shut down Justin Jefferson, double him up, bracket coverage. And then who else they got? They got that other young receiver,
Addison.
Addison.
Yeah, he's the one that took Ward's lunch
Yeah,
on
James
that zero
Jones.
blitz.
Or what's the guys, the Packers running back that just went over there?
Aaron Jones.
Aaron Jones, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but defensively, I mean, they're all right. But I mean, I don't think
Yeah, I
the
mean they're not
Vikings
going
are.
to be as good because they don't have Daniil Hunter anymore.
Yeah, I mean, I can't see them really doing a whole lot this season. So, I think they'll probably finish. They might finish in last place. It'll be between them and the Bears, but I think the Bears kind of have a lot on paper, but
Yeah.
we don't know how it's going
Yeah,
to
the
come
Bears
together with that.
definitely have more on paper, but it all depends on the Caleb Williams show.
Yeah, and that's a lot of pressure. Like already, I'm thinking like this kid has already just the pressure of being the first number one overall pick, plus the pressure of like performing and the pressure now of hard knocks. He's got all these things just weighing on him. And he's a young quarterback. I mean, I feel like he's just going to have like a Peyton Manning year where it's like they're going to have to hit the reset button in his sophomore year and say, all right, we're going to start building you up now. I think he's going to throw a lot of picks.
I think so.
Just from what I've seen in camp, he's just like throwing up, no look balls up into the air. I'm just like, that's not going to work, dude.
That's not going to work in a live game where teams are vying for wins. You're not going to be just chucking the ball like that. This is not
I think
backyard football.
I think he'll have some flash plays. I think the expectation of him in his mind is he's the next Mahomes. He even talked crap about Mahomes, hasn't even played one snap and said Mahomes wasn't a top 3 quarterback in the NFL. And if he's looking off 2023, like statistically, I agree with him. If you're just looking at an individual season, but you can't just look at Mahomes as an individual season in that sense. If you're comparing Brock Purdy's 2023 season to Mahomes' 2023 season or Dak Prescott to Mahomes, if you're looking at them statistically and individually, then yeah, those guys had better seasons than Mahomes. He was 8th in QBR, he's 14th in rating. I don't think he was number 1 in any single stat at all in the NFL last year. So he had like 19 turnovers. So yeah, I think he regressed. A lot of people want to put the blame on the receivers, but you can't say that he was the best quarterback in the NFL in 2023, despite winning the Super Bowl, because I think that was a Spagnuolo Super Bowl. I think that it was a Spagnuolo
Yeah,
season.
it wasn't the offense. I mean, the offense, scored the game-winning TD, but the defense won that game.
Yeah. I mean, Mahomes didn't do crap for like 3.5 quarters. He was the only quarterback in that game to throw an interception, untimely. Niners didn't turn it into points, I don't think. But he
It's
still threw
crazy.
that.
Like Mahomes has played the Niners twice in the Super Bowl. In both games, he was pretty subpar before the fourth quarter. So the Niners need to put some more distance between them on the scoreboard so that any type of Mahomes comeback doesn't really matter.
Yeah. And I think they would have. I think, if Burford picks up that block against Chris Jones, I think BA is flying in the back of the end zone. Actually, I just watched that play again today too. Jennings, Purdy was falling back on his back because he's getting just drilled, but he kind of tossed it up in an area where he thought he might have been able to give Jennings a shot, but Jennings was open too. So I think either one of those guys got a good ball or a good look, or if Purdy got a good look, he's hitting either one of those guys because Kyle did dial that play up. And Brandon cooked McDuffie or whoever was over there.
Whoever was guarding him was eating grass.
Yeah, and then same thing with Jennings, had bracket coverage. He pushed him in, gave him a double move, and then was heading back out towards that corner wide open. And it was like 2 guys that wide open, and Spencer Burford did what he did. Just get in front of him for like a second, and that's a whole different
just
thing.
put a hand out or something.
Like, man, yeah. Anyway, water under the bridge. I hope that we destroy him week 7 this year, but we got to go 1 week at a time. It's Jets first week. So I'm gonna wrap this up, man. It was awesome having you on here.
Thank you for having me, man.
Yeah, for sure. We got to do this again. We'll do it like we'll schedule something later on in the year, or maybe in a couple weeks or something.
Right.
And yeah, thanks to everybody who joined the stream and everything like that. And we'll see you guys again soon.
All right. Thank you for watching.